Alright, let's go take a gander at what the best people in the game are playing right now, and what the win rates of all the different characters are at the top 1% ranked here. Oh, Celeste is doing really good right now. Okay, interesting. Viper, really strong win rate, rising up. Sinclair, that's surprising, but we've got a lot of familiar faces here. Billy, Seven, of course. Alright, let's see who's at the other end of the spectrum here. What the heck is happening at the bottom? We've got Graves. Okay, she sucks. Lady Guy's interesting, and... Silver? Lowest win rate in the game? 42% win rate? Huh? Alright, well, surely people are still picking her somewhat frequently, right? We've got, like, okay, Wraith, Lash at the top, Drifter, Bebop, a lot of people playing Vindicta because she's good. Okay. What about at the very bottom? I mean, surely, like, Sinclair's gonna be here, right? Sinclair, Graves, and... She's the least popular character in the game, too? Oh! So yeah, Silver is going through a very rough patch right now, and if you want the short answer as to why, well, it's because she's just gotten a bajillion nerfs in the past couple of months. Pretty much ever since she was released, she's just gotten nerf after nerf, with very few buffs in between, and usually those buffs are not very impactful or in response to a nerf that went overboard. For example, they increased the Lykan Curse cooldown to 80 seconds, and then they realized that was way too much, so they brought it back down to 60 seconds, but that's still nearly triple what it was at the start. She had a 22-second cooldown on her Lykan Curse. Where is it? Right here. 22... What? And some other buffs include Slamfire does double damage versus NPCs. Don't know what that's supposed to achieve, but yeah, you can, I guess, farm neutrals, kind of. Not really, she's so not a farmer. So, Silver has just gone through a bajillion nerfs, and in this video I want to analyze exactly why. Why has she received so many nerfs? Why has she been so hard to balance? And what can they do to help her? Because she is, as of right now, arguably the worst character in the game, at least based on that data. And even if we look at the general population, all ranks here, well, her pick rate is still the third lowest, down here in the dumps with Mirage, who's the most boring character in the game, and Sinclair, who is the hardest character in the game. And her win rate, well, 47%. I mean, it certainly climbs, but that's still 3% below 50. She's losing most of her games, and she's right down here, comfortably in the bottom 10 characters. So what is the deal with this character? Why is she such a hot mess? Well, I think her personality has something to do with that, but more seriously, I think it comes down to a few design headaches that have been brought up as a result of the nature of this character, both in terms of how finished she is, and also the fact that she is a stance switcher. So let's just get this out of the way first. Silver is very clearly the least finished character that came out of the Old Gods New Blood update, which introduced the latest batch of heroes in the game. She is actually still using a lot of placeholder animations, like her butt parry, which she inherited straight from Seven. He has the same butt parry, that's his thing. And yeah, a bunch of other animations of hers are very clearly not done. She needs a lot of work there. And also, her abilities on release clearly didn't have too much thought put into some of their scaling. I remember all of the spirit scaling on everything being 1.0 on everything except for the Lykan Curse fire rate here. And obviously the Lykan Curse, 22 second cooldown, what were they thinking? They didn't really have as much time to test her, I feel, and really fine-tune her on release as they did for some of the other characters that came out in that patch. But I think the main thing that's causing issues for her balance is the fact that she is this game's first stance switcher, meaning she has one set of abilities, and then she can swap stances into a stance with completely different abilities and functionality. And there have been stance switchers in other games before, and they are notoriously hard to balance. I come from Paladins. That's the game I used to play before switching over to Deadlock. That game had many stance switchers, Imani, Koga, Strix, and they all failed in one way or another, and the reason why is because, well, when you have multiple stances, usually what happens is one stance just becomes objectively more powerful than the other's stance, and so players tend to stick in one stance 90% of the time and almost never use the other stance. And so what Valve did to try and solve this problem is realize, okay, no matter what, one of the stances is going to be better than the other, so let's force this character to use both stances throughout the match, and let's make it so she has to use the weaker stance to unlock the stronger stance in the form of her ultimate. And I do think this is a very clever solution, but it's not without its own flaws. So Silver's human form, I'm just gonna say it's pretty bad. It's kind of garbage. Even compared to other just baseline regular heroes in the game, like base Silver minus her ult, incredibly weak. Her weapon, it's clunky. It's really slow firing. I am holding down left click, by the way, and it just like stopped shooting. I let go of the left click for just a little bit, and then I pressed the button back down. And it's just like, it's so bad. Her slam fire does have some decent bursts to it, but it also comes with a penalty. You suffer from reduced accuracy. So here's normal shot spread. Here's slam fire shot spread. Yeah, so you can potentially draw an outline around your enemies if you're not careful. Her boot kick is lethargic, sluggish, and it does have some good utility. You can use it to, kind of crowd control the enemies, throw them wherever you want. It gives you a little bit of extra burst on your next shot. The best thing about her human form, arguably, is the Entangling Bullet. It is some really hard CC. Completely prevents movement. It's basically slowing Hex on steroids in her base kit, but it is also a skill shot that's kind of hard to hit, especially on fast-moving targets from medium range. So, she's got some utility and stuff, but overall, pound for pound, this is incredibly weak. The main purpose of her human form is to get into her Lykan form, where she is much stronger. But then, the Lykan form, as you guys know, ever since her release, has been one tough thing to balance. It's been overpowered, overtuned for most of her existence, and that's why they've given it nerf after nerf after nerf, to try and make it not crazy strong. But what you end up with right now is a situation where Silver's human form is, pretty weak, and they've been nerfing that too with things like damage nerfs on the Slamfire. And then they also have nerfed Lykan Curse a ton, but what the community has been doing in the meantime is getting better at countering Silver as well. You see, the Lykan Curse, it has some really good stats to it. It gives her a bunch of health, it gives her a crazy movement speed bonus, especially with the tier 2, 5.5 extra meters of move speed, you are zooming. And her abilities during the Lykan Curse are really good. She's got a radial disarm here, she's got Mauling Leap, which shreds bullet res, does a ton of damage and helps her close the distance, and the Go for the Throat here is just a huge tool for finishing off the enemies. It gives her a lot of lifesteal. It is really good. And against characters that don't have really any mobility at all, there is basically nothing they can do to get away from Silver during the Lykan Curse. They can try to crowd control her, they can buy a Warp Stone, and that does actually kind of help, but for the most part, like a Page or a Graves or someone like that, against Lykan Curse, they are screwed, even now in its weak form here. But what about all the characters who do have an answer for Lykan Curse? What about the characters who can fly away? Like Lash, or Vindicta, or Viscus, or what about the characters that are just really tanky? She does do a lot of damage, but some characters can be really tanky and just slam her into a wall and call it a day. So there is, a lot of counterplay to the Lykan Curse now that people have discovered, whether it's outranging her, trying to warp stone up to high ground where she has a hard time chasing because the leap doesn't really have good vertical mobility and the movement speed doesn't help her get up there. There are a lot of things that you can do. And so it is simultaneously the weakest it's ever been, but also people are better at countering it than ever. So, her win rate drastically suffers as a result. Now, something they could try to do to restore some power into this character is buff her human form a little bit, but this also comes with some risks, because this is meant to be, by design, the weaker form. And so if you buff it too much, there is a chance that due to its superior ranged capabilities, she's not a pseudo-melee character in this human form, that it could potentially overshadow the Lykan Curse in some ways, and so it would make transforming into the werewolf less satisfying. And also, if her human form becomes too strong to the point that her human form is actually stronger than a lot of the characters in the game, and then she has the Lykan Curse on top of that, well then she's just plain OP, and we're right back around to Silver being super oppressive. But if her werewolf form is too weak, then you run into issues where it's actually too hard to even get into the Lykan curse in the first place, and when that is the case, oh my god, this feels like the worst character in the game. You hit your abilities, and you realize, oh, I'm still not in Lykan curse. You put yourself in an aggressive position because you anticipate on transforming into Lykan curse, and then you don't transform into Lykan curse, then you just die. Or if you get your Lykan curse, but you're like 100 HP, you transform, you get a little bit of health, and then you die immediately after. That's happened to me many times before. I know it's happened to you if you've played Silver. And it is honestly the most unfun feeling in the world, because that's the whole gimmick with this character, is transforming into the werewolf. Now, I think something that makes this balancing act incredibly difficult right now is the fact that Silver just feels so unpolished, bringing it back to the issue of her being the least finished character out of the Old Gods New Blood update. Her kit, as literally demonstrated earlier, just completely on accident, it just feels really, really bad. Like, the shotgun literally jammed up. I want to see if I can, like, try to get that to happen again, because that was, like, just really weird. I don't know. It just feels so slow and clunky in a way that even other shotgun characters, like Abrams and Shiv, don't feel like. Like, when I'm playing Abrams, yeah, he fires a little bit faster, but I don't ever feel like I'm going to lock up in the same way that I literally did on Silver. And all of Silver's other abilities just feel kind of clunky too. Like the boot kick, it's like it's got this pre-casting delay, and then it feels kind of sluggish to actually use it. You can kind of turn a little bit, but also you can't really go properly upwards. As you can see, like, I do go up in the air a little bit, but not quite as vertical as I would like. And also, when you impact an enemy, like, yeah, it works, but everything just doesn't feel very fluid, you know? It just feels slow and clunky. The projectile here, I mean, it's alright. But, I mean, I do feel like everything could just be made a little bit nicer. There are a lot of quality of life changes that you could do. Really small tweaks, but a lot of cumulative tweaks that could just make her kit feel better to play. We've already seen what this can do, because they've done this before on two characters in particular, Holiday and Calico. Both of them got massive quality of life revamps. In Calico's case, they made it so that the leaping slash doesn't accidentally go past players. They made it so that the first Gloom Bomb always goes in the center like that. They just made her feel a lot better. They gave her a center pellet on her shotgun too. Like, everything about this character just got made more fluid. They didn't necessarily buff her by doing this, they just made her feel better to play, and it resulted in Calico becoming a much more reliable character, someone who people actually want to pick up more, and she got a lot stronger. Now, this was paired with some buffs, don't get me wrong, but, you know, the buffs weren't the only thing. The quality of life was actually something that did a lot of heavy lifting in making this character feel better to play, and ultimately becoming a more savory pick in the meta overall. And the same is true for Holiday. They did a bunch with her too. They completely retooled her gun to make it feel better to use. Just less clunky, less janky. They took away a lot of the screen shake, the recoil, just the weirdness that came with this thing. They made the barrels feel a heck of a lot easier to use. You can use them on the ground now. They fly out faster. They feel better. They made it so that the jump pads don't interact weirdly on these ledges now. They really tooled up this character, and she's feeling a lot better now too. So they can do a lot of similar things to Silver, fixing her gun, a lot of subtle tweaks to make it not feel so sticky to use, and making the dash feel more fluid, and all of that would just be great. And the werewolf form can use some of this too. You know, the abilities on the werewolf aren't quite as janky, I would say, but still, like, this character just needs to feel so much more fluid, and that'll make more people want to play her. She'll feel more reliable, and that reliability will translate into her being stronger, and then you'll have a stronger starting point from which to do more balance adjustments to the numbers of these abilities. Because I do think, without exaggeration, this is the clunkiest character in the game, and that's part of why her pick rate is so low. When Silver isn't just objectively meta-defining strong, nobody wants to actually play her because of how janky she feels. No one else in the game, I would say, even comes close. Not after Holiday and Calico got their tune-ups. I mean, maybe the closest is, I don't know, Sinclair, but even Sinclair still feels a lot more fluid to play than Silver, in my opinion. And I know I'm not alone in that, because, you know, if I was alone in that, everybody would be playing her. But nobody's playing her. But what do you think about Silver? Let me know in the comments section down below. Do you agree with my analysis as to why this character is so hard to balance and what the heck is going on with her right now? Do you have anything you'd like to add? Is there anything I get wrong? Please, let me know in the comments section down below. And while you're down there, make sure to drop a like on this video and subscribe so you don't miss out on future analysis videos like these from me. But with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.